So Harry and Meghan's doco, we're halfway through it. A watch along with Rita and myself is up now at skynews.com.au. But both of us jumped out of our seats at this bit where apparently Brexit has something to do with why Harry and Meghan left.
This fairy tale is embedding itself in a nation that is having a pretty toxic debate about the European Union.
Immigration is the #1 issue. So people are very upset, they're very unhappy.
The EU commissioned a report in 2016, exactly the same time that our relationship became public. It warned that if the government isn't going to do something, or if the media aren't going to sort themselves out, that a culture war that had already existed was going to become huge and become a real problem.
It was a perfect storm that gave credence to jingoism and nationalism and gave people with really horrible views of the world a little bit more strength.
Please. Nigel Farage, of course, was the legendary Brexit leader, GB News host, and turns up with us every week. Mate, that was... I found it ridiculous, and it wasn't about me. When it is about you, and they mention you, and they show Brexit, you must have spat all of the tea out in the whole house at once.
Oh, I needed something stronger than tea, having seen that, believe you me. I mean, look, in some ways, I'm quite flattered, really. The thought that it's all my fault, this evil Brexit, and they backed it up with a Marxist history professor who hates the United Kingdom. They use fake news headlines from The Guardian. But you see the real agenda here. You see what's really happening here. They're playing the victim. They're making loads of money off the back of it. And this is all for her to launch her political career in the next 2 or 3 years. Harry and Meghan are the ultimate globalists. They don't want the United Kingdom to exist as a country. They want us part of this greater European structure with the free movement of people. And anyone like that horrible Nigel, who even discusses border controls, well, that of itself, in their world, is deemed as racism. Look, I think, it's so obvious to me. She wants to be in Congress in a few years' time. And I look forward to that in one way, because she'll prove to the world how utterly vacuous her brain is.
But also you can see that all of this is about, as you say, a sales pitch to the United States. Those of us who know the inner workings of the royals, all the rest of it, right? Hence why such big swathes of it are about the slave trade, are about, essentially countries all the way around the world that have been brought up, with the blindfold on about the reality of the empire, rah, rah, blah, blah. But it is very much pitched at people who love a victim story as a way of embracing a new figure. And it's pretty obvious who the victim is in this story.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, America has tied itself up in knots. I mean, I hardly know an American who doesn't go and see a therapist. I mean, they've all convinced themselves they've got some terrible inner problem that they can't cope with or deal with themselves. Normal everyday events in America now, for so many people, are described as traumas. And that's what she's playing to. She talks in a documentary about the fact, I was turtling. You ever heard of that before? No, well, nor had I. And these are all these terms they're using. But look, what is disgusting, I couldn't give a damn what they say about me, but to talk about his own brother as if his own brother is part of some plot between Buckingham Palace and the media to do Harry and Meghan down, to dismiss any attempt, and whatever you think of Charles, and I think of Charles, he is a very gentle and a very caring man. Of that I have no doubt at all. So he's dissed his father, he's dissed his brother, he's literally dissed the memory of his grandmother. Her great achievement was to become queen of what was still a massive British empire. And to see over 70 years its transition into something extraordinary that mankind has never produced before, where the former colonialists now form a club called the Commonwealth, play sport with each other, trade with each other, are friends with each other, and they've even done their best to destroy the legacy of the Commonwealth. They are a couple of utterly disgraceful human beings. And I'm very pleased to say that in America, and I was there last week, despite all the rah-rah about this film, people are watching it and they're very quickly switching off. So it's not even working in America in the way they'd hoped.
But also, it is impossible, like the average person, right, does not, like, I think that we all believe that when something bad happens to you, there are certain things that cushion your fall, okay? Now, nothing bad has happened to them. They chose to make things worse for themselves, but their cushion is an awful lot of money to talk about it, and riches and houses and all the rest of it here. This is hardly somebody who's been cancelled. This is hardly somebody who's been unfairly maligned. These are people who essentially have gone from, you know, one gilded cage to another gilded cage, and that's why people can't cop it. Because, you know, I read a thing today that by next year, 30 million Britons will be in serious financial stress. Serious financial, not a little worried, serious financial stress. And we've got an issue that we're talking about here with about 20% of Australians. And as well as, while they were filming all of these little sort of self-love videos, people were dying from COVID.
Yes, and by the way, when they did the first Oprah interview, Harry knew that his own grandfather was literally on his deathbed. And that shows you the selfishness, the utter, complete selfishness of this couple. This is all about them, and they can talk about being healers and about being loving people. They couldn't give a damn about anybody else. Harry is a very seriously damaged young man who is being used and abused by Meghan Markle to make her rich, to further her future political career. In the end, she'll dump him, but he'll find he hasn't got a home to come back to. You know, the Royal Marines, which he was the boss of, are absolutely disgusted by his behaviour. I can't see his brother and his father ever forgiving him. And I tell you what, if they turn up at the coronation on May the 6th, the crowds outside the Abbey will boo them. I tell you what, I'll be there in line to do it as well.
By the way, I'll text you after the show what I thought turtling meant, OK? But I'm not going to say it on the telly. Nice to see you, mate. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We'll see you next year. Good on you. Nigel Farage has been a big part of what we've done this year, and we'll be back next year as well.